The most underrated PSP tactics game, Gungnir by KBash. This is gonna be interesting. Is this another one of these crazy? Are we gonna be hit by bullet hell again? Hopefully not. Anyways,
say hi to Poseidon for me, you dumb fuck. It's all ending soon. This is it. This is the day they tear me down, make a mockery of everything I've done, reduce me to absurdity. I read the reviews, I played the game, and I don't get it. Because Gungnir's something so rare, even a
Gungnir. So it's Gungnir. Okay. Unless you spell it saying it wrong too. Okay, let's see.
falling star couldn't hold a candle.
Hey, do you need anything?
Yeah. Dindins, please. Yeah. Something so rare you'd think it never existed at all.
Do I have to do game reviews to get a wife? By the way, is that the strat?
Gungnir, a game we're gonna have to get on the same page about, right
Also, will there be also new teenagers like in the last one?
now. Look at this word. No, this word is not pronounced.
Gungnir. Gung-ho.
Alright, what's this professor gotta say?
Gungnir.
Alright, sounds good. Gungnir is the last English release and final entry in the Department Heaven series, Episode 9, the final boss, the most unique game, apparently. It's not. Now, Riviera was a pretty standard JRPG with a little
Dude, he looks like me with prettier hair. Long lost brother found.
dating. Yggdra Union was a tactical RPG with difficulty, and Knights in the Nightmare was something. I don't know what, but it was. So it's a little odd to say that Gungnir, regardless of the systems at play, is pretty normal. I mean, this game has its warts and its wounds, you just have to peel back the skin. People call this game more
We're talking about skinning. Peak. No, Poke, you have to go out and put yourself out there. But Joe, I'm scaring the hoes. And the hoes are scaring me. This'll never work.
gray, but I think it's more of a morality vacuum, a gaping hole in space where morality and virtue go to die. It might be the most mature story told in a Sting game, and the least satisfying by a mile. Wait, what's coming over me? I feel the need to be disrespectful, annoying. I can't control it! Here's the protagonist, Julio Ragwell of Espada. Oh, Española!
Spanish. I only understand Spanish. So. Is this gonna be an obnoxious protagonist? Moosebull, by the way. Moosebull. I'll lend you one of my hoes. I have too many. Pause.
He'll be joined by his brother.
I just barely know still a little bit about Spanish. Like I know some words. Like if somebody would be texting me something in Spanish, I would maybe remember some words, maybe. But that's about it. No, Poke, you scared of grass? Nah, it's women. Women are scary. It's okay to scare wait, what? You scared of hoes? Just accept you're gay? I don't like men either.
Felix from Golden Sun, an old drunk with twig ankles. Alright, Paulo. So, you're benched? This anime character who just can't be f***ed. I love it. A bunch of other characters that don't matter, and... Yggdra? So Gungnir opens with
Yggdra? Bro had flashbacks.
Julio and his friends, the freedom fighter buddy pals, raiding a caravan. We do an ultra murder and we're left with a choice. Cut him up! Oh, what? Dumb. Never let anyone from any evil empire live, dipshit. That's rule number 1. Inside the caravan is Yggdra, or Alyssa. So the freedom fighter buddy pals think hard about what to do with her. Guys, let's sell her into slavery!
That's crazy. Asexual much? No. My libido is very strong, in fact. I can promise you.
Yeah, this game just goes there, and moments like these are pretty.
If she's from a great family, maybe we can get 75,000. Well, I occasionally try to sell my viewers, so this is nothing new, actually. Yo, this is nothing new. Though I doubt any of my viewers would be worth 75,000 gold or something like that. Unless we're doing organs. Unless we're selling them in parts and organs and on the black market.
pretty frequent in the game. I appreciate a game where you kill instead of defeat, you know? But Alyssa has some odd magnetism and like a really nice dress, so they keep her around until— oh my god, Julio, what did I tell you? The local baron, upon learning that some bandits took his cargo, brought all his men and he's gonna do an ultra murder right back. One unwinnable
So they keep her around because she's hot. Simple.
battle later, and the freedom fighter buddy pals are in trouble. Thankfully, the baron is merciful.
Well, fuck, they're dead.
But then out of nowhere, this crazy huge weapon
Demon lands. Demon lands.
falls from the sky along with the anime girl. So let's put a pin in story discussion and talk gameplay. What's Gungnir? Why is it episode 9? Why do I like it? Well, for starters, Gungnir is a TRPG that looks familiar and welcoming. It controls easy too. I don't need to learn a whole new combat system, and I don't need an hour of tutorials to play. I appreciate that, even if I love Sting's shameless innovations. The game does that thing other tactics games do, loading you up with plot characters, but you almost never have to use the ones you don't like. Most of them are unique or actually combine the capabilities of other classes, so while they can be extremely effective, you can get away with benching Paulo. Dumb drunk fuck. Usually the stars of these games are the generic units, at least for me. I don't want to pick Ryu or Ken when there's a whole roster of unique stuff to choose from. Sting's distinctive art style is on full display, and I've got to give him credit. For the most part, all of these classes are good looking, have their own—
I feel like that's a general trend with these games. They generally have a nice and pretty they generally have a nice and pretty art style. This is a general trend with these. To be fair, this is a trend, generally a nice trend. Okay, if you planned the Xmas, whoever's saying Xmas, I think we need to publicly execute. It's Christmas. Christ, put the name back in there.
niches and applications and have full game staying power. But not you. Dingly dang dick. I really can't praise them enough. I went in with a party in mind, and every member had key moments in different battles where they just crushed it. My knight held down important locations and acted like the wall he was meant to be, dealing out tons of close-range damage. My priestess was integral to keeping Paulo on the bench and was absolutely the MVP.
Can you date somebody again? Or did they remove that?
Carries with AoE healing from start to finish. I didn't pick up my sorceress till the end game, but she trivialized the final battles with AoE burn, absolutely annihilating the enemy's forces. The fuck y'all laughing at? And finally, the lowly thrower. He just throws his stick. Hell yeah! Actually, during research, people were kind of crapping on the thrower, like, because his main gimmick is doing a ranged knockback
That's interesting.
attack, but the witch can do that, albeit on a timer, do big spells and fly, so utility, right? But this guy...
Wait, he can be used to knock enemies off the map? It's kind of interesting and incredibly mean.
This is a good time to talk about stages, which, like, side note, are so pretty, man. Holy crap. So they're just—
They look very generally, these games don't disappoint in art style. They just make you scared. They scare you because of their mechanics. But in art style, these games are incredibly beautiful.
just like any of the other isometric cubed deals in the genre, and while these games usually play with height a little, Gungnir fully embraces it. If you jump down higher than your character should, they'll fall on their ass, sometimes taking a ton of damage. And like you saw, you can totally knock dudes off cliffs from
Fall damage. Fall damage in a strategy game. Well, that's fun. That's fun.
massive and often lethal damage. It's one of the most satisfying things about the game. You can even ring people out like it's Soul Calibur or something. The first time it happened, I almost spit out my tea. The game's even more devious than that. Sometimes there's water sections, and water has height. Nobody in this game can swim, and water is water, right? There's a current. If you put yourself adjacent to a deep section, sometimes you'll drown when you're not paying attention.
Diabolical. Diabolical. Another. We haven't had that one yet. We haven't had in the series full damage and drowning. That's a new one.
And getting
Julio drowned.
washed away by the flow of time. There's this hilarious rage post where some dude got really mad about losing the match because of this, but you can lure enemies into drowning just as well, so I think it's a really neat addition. Enemies aren't too much to talk about. The AI is pretty average unless you're on a higher difficulty than basic mode. Killing in this game is a bit different. Reducing an enemy to 0 HP makes them retreat, leaving a random item behind. Overkilling them does that, and lets you choose something from the corpse's inventory. And it's like, no, they're dead. The worms aren't fighting me for their shirt or whatever. Let me have it all. But I'm gonna charitably read this as the items getting damaged from the overkill. Items are actually a really big deal in Gungnir. Yeah, okay, I know, Sting can't stop with items. Items are everything. It's like a kid can pick up any old sword in a Sting game and turn it.
Obviously, it does have the same item mechanics, probably, I'm assuming, where normal attacks don't do shit unless you have an item.
Into a god. But seriously, you have limited money, scrounging from corpses is really helpful, and like the FFT games, skills are linked to the weapons you equip. More on skills later. Actually, one thing you've got to look out for is extremely valuable weapons hiding in mailboxes for some reason and other breakable objects. But whenever you break one of these pinatas, then the thing pops.
Poke, try this one. Gonna play this. What was the name again? Gungnir on the PSP.
Out, you gotta pick it up. So it's possible an enemy will come along and steal the item, which like, don't touch my stuff! That isn't what she taught. Oh hey, Pamela's back!
So let me get this straight. Enemies can steal your items, and when you defeat them, you won't get back the item that they stole. You will get something else. Or is there like a percentage chance? She is, I like her. She looks interesting. Anyways.
Yeah, you sit up on that mountain, and if you even think of coming down here, I'll throw your hat in the snow.
I want also a wife that's named Griselda. Some of these fantasy names have something. Griselda has something.
Oh, idiot. I don't really know why Sting thought it'd be cool to bring her back, but her ringing her own teammates out is very cool. Good stuff, guys. So the gameplay elements I've mentioned are pretty basic. Some Sting funny business, but you know, they're real funny guys down there. So where's the complications? Alright, Gungnir, give me your skin. The game has a clock system which determines when you're going and when enemies are going. Notably, each individual enemy has their own wait time, but your guys are lumped together, letting you move them when you want. Not really though, because every unit also has a passive wait time stat that you can see in their stats menu. Let's just take a look here. Nope! Not doing it! Basically, in-game ticks determine when currents move waterlogged units, when spells can go off, because like FFT, they all have a cast time, and when days end.
Okay, interesting. So practically, it's just it's a timer that basically decides when you can do things. Interesting.
It's treated like Advance Wars, where time ticks on extremely quickly. Like, some of these battles are 20-man skirmishes. This ain't some drawn-out war scenario, dude. You can choose to override your units' wait time if they recently did something, but it'll cost some of their maximum HP, like they're being overexerted. I really like the flexibility the game offers. On that note, you can even use the scramble button to take your
Okay, yeah, right. Question? This isn't elaborated. Is the same problem, if you call it that, it's a mechanic, right? That you can't heal your characters here unless they once again level up? Cause I don't know, that was not elaborated.
turn earlier than usual, which really makes for some interesting, emergent, and reactive gameplay, like dodging a spell last second, but you need to spend tactics points to do it. So tactics points. Gungnir thought it'd be really funny and cute by adding a point system where you need to capture bases or flags on the map to increase your TP maximum, and you gain those points by walking. Some units have high tactics scores and some don't, so some can generate more than others. Just don't worry and remember you get points by moving. Tactics points get spent on certain actions, like the scramble ability from before. The big thing is Julio's spear, Gungnir, which will let him summon war gods to the field, and you know, f*** up Pierre or whatever. The trouble is war gods cost a ton of TP to use and will—
It's once again the art style, the design of the characters. As usual, it looks good. I can't complain, it looks good.
randomly want to hit your own units as well. It's possible to manipulate the outcome with patience, but in general, war gods are an unnecessary tactic and exist to carry your own inability to strategize. Like, I don't want to summon thank you, and have him
Crazy name. So they're just like, you just use them if you're too incompetent, simply put.
Eat all my gear. Oh man, come on. Don't touch my stuff! More consistently, you'll be using your points for scramble and beats. Beats do remind me of Victory Union, with allies teaming up to attack enemies and vice versa. Seriously, you don't want to be on the other end of an unexpected enemy beatdown. But it's a great way to do damage, especially to bosses with bloated health pools. And it's a really cool theme of Sting's tactical games, contextual team support. The system's complex, but the gist is you spend tactics points when you attack, allowing nearby enemies to assist. The range increases with each base you capture too, so you can perform and get hit by some wild stuff.
I just realized what this reminds me of. A Button Kaito's Origins. When one of the characters can jump in and you can like quickly beat down enemies by being able to let all three back-to-back attack if you have the right deck. That's what this reminds me of.
And that's the gameplay. It's a bit complex, at least far and away more complex than whatever's going on in FFT and Fire Emblem, but you get the hang of it partway through the game. Maybe I'm just used to Sting constantly shoving stats and bars and items and fonts in my face, but none of this is really all that strange. I think the real out there game mechanic is the 42 different status ailments. Well, shoot.
42? 42 different issues. What happened to sleep, paralysis, and poison? Maybe a confusion and getting KO'd, but that's it. What is this?
That's enough to do this. We gotta wrap some ailments. Yo, why'd they make 40? What? Let's get it on. I want to spread disease across the land to
Disease?
sicken and freeze. Yeah, that's my plan. Silent, pyrism, slowcast, undead, sacrifice, scapegoat, poison, branded, pouring, free, shieldless, gravity, nightmare, aquism, jump plus slippery.
He made a Pokemon. He took the Pokemon rap, but turned it into status elements.
Oh no. You'll notice some of them aren't ailments but buffs, so I guess Sting was gunning for the world record. Either way, most never really come up, and the most dangerous and ubiquitous ailments are poison and burn. Both of these do damage every tick of the clock, and will absolutely decimate the victim. Seriously, I beat the final boss with basically only burn. It was crazy. By the way, what's this guy's deal? Final boss? Dude, you're in a wheelchair and you're only-
Yo, that's some aura though. If you are the final boss and you sit in a wheelchair and you're still the final boss, that says something. Bro does not need the legs to take over the world.
Level isn't wheelchair friendly. You boob, you ultramaroon. Oh, fuck. Now, Gungnir's a game where all the elements are working in unison. The game flow is extremely tight. You watch a cutscene, do a mission, watch a cutscene, do some shopping, and repeat 26 times. Missions last from 15 to 40 minutes, generally speaking, and there's an in-game turn.
Damn, they even got vampire ladies, scantily clothed vampire ladies. You know what else is tight? Anyways.
Limit on each one. It keeps the game at a brisk pace, knowing you have to go open the treasure chests and rout the enemies in a timely fashion, and there's never any real place.
I should play this game simply for Griselda. She's a baddie. Ableism, yay, peak.
Or time to grind. The game's meant to be replayed, and I happen to like it this way, but I can see why some people would be turned off by it. Some games have adapted difficulty, like Resident Evil 4, which, if you're failing a particular section, means that eventually some enemies stop appearing. But when you play through, you don't really notice it, and it makes the game feel perfectly balanced, even if it's illusory. Gungnir has something similar with the star system.
See, there is a game that is meant to be replayed, but you don't want to replay it. It's Metroid Prime 4! One of the worst Metroid games I think I have ever seen. Yeah, if you thought that the continuation of the Metroid Prime series was good, no, it wasn't. It is worse than all Metroid previous Prime games. It is that bad. It is horrendous. Anyways, stop thirsting over pixels and go find an actual woman. What's a woman? What is that? Can you eat that? Nah, I think pixels is the only way at this point.
system. You're graded on your performance with 3 stars, and if you get 3 consistently, the health of enemies rises and it can get really difficult. If you're not even getting stars, the enemy's HP starts to lower, so like, the game's not trying to beat you down. However, stars affect how many chests appear in the next map, up to 3, and they sometimes have incredibly rare and valuable items. It's hard to know whether to gun for everything or just aim to complete the thing. If you're a Sting veteran, it's not unsurprising to have to leave items behind. That's just how they do things, and again, multiple playthroughs are encouraged, so fair enough. So I've more or less described the game, but who cares? Why is Gungnir so special? Let me tell you something. Among the games I cover on my show, among most games released, it's really rare to find a game that's artistically unified. Like I said, every element's working in unison, from gameplay to narrative, and the message the game's trying to convey in every detail of its construction is seize the day, doing what you can with the time and resources you have. Move.
I wonder, do these games have modern, still like, does the developer of these games still do modern releases? Probably not because of how niche it is, but still, this has a place. Probably, looking at how many releases there are, a woman is like a man but better, and yes, you can eat them. Okay. That's not what I expected, but okay.
Movement, action, it's so refreshing in this kind of game. It emerges in basic gameplay stuff like equipment. Every character can only hold on to so much, with a maximum weight limit, and taking on less actually lets your character move more frequently. You don't sweat not being able to equip every last accessory, you just use what you can. Quick decision making is often extremely rewarding in this game, with the scramble feature allowing you so much flexibility in handling various problematic scenarios, moving wounded units in last minute to an AoE heal, escaping damage. The notion that movement itself is a method of generating power with tactics points makes for a much more active and engaging game than most of the tactics games I've ever played, even among some of the greats. Skill gain is difficult and fairly inconsistent at times. You have to commit to a weapon and use its ability a bunch to unlock any other abilities. And sometimes you just won't be able to by the time a newer, stronger weapon appears. Sometimes you're really pressed for deployment slots in a battle and the guy you want to train just doesn't fit. I don't like this aspect of the game, but the message is clear. Use your weapon to the best of your ability, but you're gonna have to adapt eventually. Ace units exist, so
Ace units, okay, where's that? Ace units, the ace unit must not be killed. Time up, you must win before deadline. Obviously that makes sense. So losing conditions. So you have units that are not allowed. Well, that's nothing new, right? That's nothing new. Fire Emblem does have these two, right? Characters that if they die, the game's just over, like, right? In Radiant Dawn, like if Micaiah gets absolutely eradicated, or Ike gets taken out, right? You just lose. That makes sense. That's a usual thing. What is a woman? Can you eat that? I've heard from, remember the Shoe on Head video about the kitchen cells? I've heard that women taste like putting a bunch of scents in your mouth and licking a battery. Something like that.
the leader of the band. It's always a plot character, but available choices differ every map, and sometimes it's only units you haven't been training and don't want to use, but you do what you can and push on. This game has a lot of min-max potential with units and elements and affinities for certain weapon abilities that I won't go into, but the gist is this. If you want the best sorceress possible to cast AoE fireballs, you're gonna have to wait to the end of the game before the potential to recruit that character exists, and that's absolutely maddening, but this game, again, is sending a message. Don't sweat it. Like you're supposed to just play the damn game, not min-max it like a psychopath. Actually, you can't even keep your units like you normally would in New Game Plus. Every unit has a specific name. They're not randomized, and they have unique stats as well. Not that the
Wait, so how does New Game Plus work? Like, would you just keep, like, all the levels and all the items? Supposedly? How would New Game Plus work?
game outright tells you. You have to recruit the same named generic unit again in a new game. So yeah, if you want that same sorceress again, you're gonna have to wait till mission 20 of New Game Plus to get Beatrix or whatever. I really don't care for that, but it's an invitation to train new units, try new things, whatever it takes. You might have noticed that 90% of those things I mentioned were gripes, things that bug me about the game, but I appreciate the artistic value, the ability to push a conceit so far. It doesn't stop there though. though. Making choices regardless of the situation, forcing yourself forward at all costs, is a concept integral to the narrative, especially when much of the narrative is couched in the notion that fate is mostly inescapable. Spoiler time! Gungnir takes place in the Gargan Empire, a country with two races, Daltons and Leonicans. The Leonicans, who you play as, are called a cursed race. Throughout the
We got racism. Classic. Fictional setting, racism. Always works perfectly well. I can tell you've never tasted a woman or a battery. What? How could you tell? I'm surprised myself. No shit, Sherlock.
game, and not once is a single reason given to justify it. The Leonican characters aren't even visually distinct from the Daltons, two things I'm absolutely sure were intentional. The plot is simple, but the story is multifaceted. You're playing as Julio, who comes to lead Esperanza, the liberation movement his now deceased father started years ago. Julio only knows killing, and his place in the world that other people decided for.
What a deep story. I was only 10 when I made my first kill. I was playing with, I was already, you made your first kill when you were 10. I was almost in a relationship. Already in a relationship.
Him. He's not anyone he chose to be, not really an autonomous person, just a body adrift in the world with only his strength, his truth, and other people's expectations driving him onward. In many ways, he's a symbol, not even a fully fledged human. But Julio's cause is just, as far as the player can tell. The story isn't really some mess of gray morality, because that would imply enough context is given to make every side similarly empathetic, but the other sides really aren't. If anything, Julio's struggle is the only one worth anything. The only one that promises any substantive change for the good. Whew. At least, we need some humor.
Are you lusting for me? Yes. But you're not Griselda, so shush, bird woman. Goodbye. I don't care. You're not Griselda. I mean, it's not like I've known you for over a year, Poke. Shocking, truly shocking.
Thank you. I'll show you what I mean about the factions. The other relevant actors in the plot are the Republican faction, who want democracy, and kinda rely on Esperanza to overthrow the kingdom for them. And while that's great, the game spends almost zero time on—
Well, a republic is not the same as democracy. It's a republic, not a democracy. So how can the Republicans ask for democracy when a republic is not a democracy? Hold up, wait a minute.
them and their beliefs, so they're just an excuse to shove a party member who leaves and comes back later onto you. And then there's Alyssa, and ooh, I need to talk about this one for a bit. This character starts out all innocent with the pretty girl in the slums bit and even gets all these little romantic scenes with Julio, but devolves so fast into a person who also realizes her place in the world, eventually throwing out—
Is this Yuri? Stop touching! Lewdly! There will be no hugs! And no hand-holding, that's lewd.
Idealism for pragmatism and stringing Julio along for the entire game, using him as a pawn to get her way. What she wants is to overthrow the Emperor because the current empire is corrupted by Wheelchair Man, right? But her proposal is to put herself on the throne, which is hardly change, except the Leonicans won't get discriminated against. Pinky promise? Yeah, that's a good deal. Put the fate of your people on a pinky promise with someone who glued flowers on her lance. The last faction, of course—
That's cute, though. What's wrong with gluing flowers to your lands? I see no issue.
Is the current empire and Zyad. Now you gotta let me know, game reviewers, what part of this game has gray morality when the final boss just drops unapologetic Dalton supremacy? There is no character in a video game that can give a speech about false racial supremacy and look like a sympathetic character. I never thought I could feel good about lighting a wheelchair on fire, but
you should try that IRL. Anyways, lesbians, yay, lesbians, women love women. My opinion still stands. Yuri and Yaoi are just glorified hentai tags. Moving on.
here we are. You know, not many moments in the game are really memorable, though a couple—
Let's get married. Absolute cinema. Sheepers would call it het slob.
really cool things happen, like these horrible mercenaries finding out about your blood lineage and suddenly showing you massive respect. But I gotta talk about the
What?
horrible mercenaries finding out about your blood lineage and suddenly showing you massive
I came to give you my head. Woola woo. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I came to give you my head. Do not give this boy your head. Chill.
respect. But I gotta talk about the two anime characters right now. I hate this stupid little necromancer girl. You gotta fight her 3 times, and every time she lives. It's super annoying. Then off screen, Elise just hunts
Bro, it's just like, I want to kill her. I want to kill her.
her down while she's recovering and literally shatters her existence. It's incredible. Normally, Elise is a character I'd make fun of, you know? Doesn't fit the aesthetic well, and she's one of those really ancient but looks like a child characters, you know, not a fan, but she's so snarky, careless, and in this one moment, f***ing badass. Hell yeah, good job, Elise. Now, the thing that absolutely kills
She's not Griselda.
me about this game is fate. Fate is such a strong concept in media, and probably because it resonates so well with so many people who feel disaffected, adrift in the world with no clear direction, and only time to guide them to their inevitable end. Fate is common cruelty, the most banal tragedy, and stories of characters struggling against fate are so powerful because of this. Julio has every reason to despise his life, a life of blood and steel forced into the shoes of his father, never able to carve his own place in the world. You make so many choices throughout the game, but ultimately none of them even matter. Most of them are simply a choice between allowing Julio to be flagrantly manipulated or not. Even the good endings take all the energy building throughout the game and put it on freeze, sputtering out some cutesy cosmic gas before things reset to 0, having accomplished nothing along the way. Nothing really, just a rotting pile of corpses and promises. 3 endings, 3 chances for interesting and diverse ways to resolve the
Interesting. I mean, Yuri and Yao is just Japanese for lesbian and gay, respectively. Yet I find it funny, right? The main consumer base of Yuri is straight dudes. And the main consumer base of Yaoi is straight women. And both of them are incredibly freaky. That's the interesting part. That's why I'm saying it's just a glorified hentai tag.
plot, but the ending barely changes among them. Alyssa still turns on you, your revolution still dissolves, and the characters just resume drifting. The sum of all your quick thinking, all your triumphant moments, your adaptation, your decision
Funny. Every time the main character gets a chick, she either dies or she turns on you. That's very interesting.
making, even when the odds were against you, even when nothing could truly change, because fate itself kept you in lockstep, is choice. The choice to act. Choose to struggle, do whatever you can with whatever you have, because the other choice isn't death, but non-existence. Man, I fucking love Gungnir.
Nice. Okay, well, we've got the last one for now. This is the last one for now. We are essentially up to date with the series, unless there's more. Unless there's more, we're up to date. Interesting. From what I can tell, Gungnir seems to be the most accessible out of all of them. But if I start playing one, I need to play all of them, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I like hell. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.